maybe Argent Squire, Leopard Gnome, South Sea Deccan, like Arcane Golems. If you want a tempo version, then you keep Dancing Swords, you run like two of them. A Nubar Ambushers, you put in Arguses. You could keep Drakes, but then you remove with both those decks, you remove Shiv and Fan of Knives, and then if you want Miracle, you just run standard list. So it really depends what you want.
Like, if your goal is to have a cheap aggro rogue deck, I would take the Drake out altogether, because you don't have time that late in the game to drop a Drake for 5. Like, you have to be killing them at that point.
Yeah.
Alright, so one of the viewers, I think we should get to theirs first, because they're obviously watching. So, I posted the link in the chat, and basically it's a control paladin deck.
Okay. Let's check it out.
Over for him.
Deck looks pretty
Control
standard.
everything. Yeah, it looks very standard.
Yeah.
Let's look.
One thing I don't like...
So Black Knight's the only 6. No, there's 2 Sunwalkers carrying.
I'm not sold on the Drakes.
Yeah.
They're good in control matchups, but like not even. But they're like not even that good anymore. Like, the thing about Drake is that in theory it's like insane value, but when you compare it to the other creatures that are going to be on the board already when you play it, like, you don't feel good about playing a Drake into like every other 5-drop that people are using.
Into almost anything, right?
Yeah,
there's Death Bites, there's a True Silver, there's...
Yeah.
It's pretty good against Priest, though.
He says Drakes are for draw only.
Yeah, it's for draw only, I know, but it's like, it puts you behind too much on tempo, I think, because every board state that almost exists in the control matchups is bad for Drake right now.
So if you want Drake, if you want more draw, what I really liked in my Paladin, and what a lot of people find work very well, is Acolyte of Pain.
Yeah, definitely. Because you can Peacekeeper it, and then he comes one attack, and you can attack it into a draw card.
Yeah, I think that card is very, very good. So Drake, you could run 1 or 2 of them. It's preference.
Drake's like insane value, like in a black hole, or like in a vacuum, I mean. But like in the boards, in like the realistic board states, it just puts you behind on tempo too much. And there's like other ways to draw cards that like Acolyte of Pain, like Lay on Hands, that don't have the same downsides. Even I even think I prefer Gnomish Inventor right now over Drake.
Interesting enough, I actually was watching the OGN before we did this podcast, and one of the Paladin guys was running the Fortitude, the Cultist.
Oh, Dark Cultist.
Not Dark Cultist. Like what's the Fortitude that draws a card every time a minion dies?
Cult Master.
I mean, yeah.
Cult Master. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, he was playing Cult Master, and he was like using it with his hero power to like draw like a bunch of cards.
Yeah, I could see that work decently.
That could work in certain matchups.
I still think that could even be better than Drake.
That's like super situational though. Like, I think Cult Master is like, especially in a deck where your plan is to like most of the time drop like one guy. Like in this type of control deck, like you're going like Karen turn 6, Sunwalker turn 6, Guardian of Kings turn 7. Like, you're usually not spamming the board that much unless the enemy is like letting your hero power get out of hand. So like, in order for Cult Master to be good, it like presupposes that the enemy is just letting you hero power without doing anything about it. So I don't think it's like a reliable card to put in the deck. I would use Acolyte of Pain or like Loot Hoarder. I really like Loot Hoarder and Paladin too.
That's one thing I haven't tested. Okay, so my recommendation with this deck is I would cut both Drakes out, and then I would either do 2 things. If you want to make it curve higher, you go 1 Acolyte, and then 1 more Kodo, or you do 2 Acolytes for 2 Drakes. If you want to curve a little bit lower.
I agree with Hosty.
Okay. So the next one. It's Death Rattles plus Secrets. So it seems to be...
Looks like the deck I qualified with. Just
a little bit, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit interesting. Because you have like Leopard Gnomes and stuff. And you have like Cairn.
Double poly, double fireball. That's the first thing that like sticks out to me.
Usually you run one or the other, because on your 4, you either want to, like, you probably just want to drop, like, a water alien on 4. This deck looks like more control and less burn, so having, like, the fireball and polymorph might be a bit overkill.
Yeah, you still have like snowball potential. Like any deck that has Undertaker and like Leper and Haunted Creeper, Mad Scientist, like it has one golem. I think I'd like to see a second golem. Like possibly -1 poly for a second golem. And then what else?
You
How
think,
about,
you can go on.
no, I was thinking Spectral Knights possibly.
I was gonna say, what do you think about Mana Dragon instead of Leper Gnome?
Less synergy with Undertaker, like, but
Like, Mana Orm's actually pretty good. Well, on the other hand, you only have, like, Frostbolt and, like, Arcane and, like, Secret Scissor.
Yeah, but even if you only activate one spell, a 2/3 for 1 mana is really good.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Plus
feel
the
like
health. The health
I
bonus
even-
is really... Okay, go
How
on.
about Loot Hoarders as well?
Yeah.
like I think this deck is a little bit bipolar.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's kind of it almost feels confused because you want to be winning like really early with this type of deck, but then you have like 2 polymorphs and Cairn. And like I see what you're trying to do. You want to have like a really stable curve throughout the entire game. But then you have like by having 2 polymorphs, it suggests you want to be taking this up against control decks. But like you'll be running out of steam like without like a duplicate.
It does remove a ton. Like Polymorph is a pretty good answer to a Sludge Belcher.
Like having Leper Gnome and Sludge Belcher in the same deck just shows that it's kind of confused. Like
Unless
you
you're
should
Hunter.
Well, Hunter.
Yeah, like I mean Sludge Belcher is a solid card, but I think Spectral Knight might be better in that spot in this type of aggro. Like
But then would they, like, how about Spectral Knight and Hunter then? Like,
this is like
Okay.
half mid range, half aggro.
that could work though, right? Like
It could
like
work.
even with your deck, I remember playing a lot of games with it, and you just snowball with Undertaker and you almost kill them. But like with your deck, you want to win in the late game, right? Like we
Yeah.
would win in the late game because they'd use all the removal. Now, possibly, if we had if we had more mid game, then maybe we could just like be more of a beatdown deck. Like maybe we could have won games earlier. I felt like it had potential to win games earlier, so maybe this could work.
I think you have to take out a polymorph if you want to go that route, though.
Yeah.
Like the
So
deck
like, what
I-
would we do?
Like the deck I made cut Fireball because I wanted to have like more minion base.
Two polymorphs.
But like this deck, I think you have to cut Poly if you want to go. For
So
this
but
type
if we
of-
cut one poly, what would
like-
we add in for that one poly? Another golem?
Because without duplicate, you're gonna be running out of minions. And like
Yeah.
you can't really run duplicate in the same deck as Haunted Creeper and Leper Gnome, I think. So like you're gonna be running out of steam by the time they start dropping their guys
I mean,
anyway.
duplicate on Leper Gnome? That's like ultimate value. That's the dream.
You can
No, it's
trigger
not.
Undertaker twice.
Oh
Okay.
my god.
Deal.
Don't people will believe you. Don't tell them.
What? I'm not trolling.
Like maybe if you get it with like the Kirin Tor, it's fine. But
Alright.
I don't
you
know
can't
if I
play
like
the-
Kirtor actually. How about like no Kirtor?
I think in this type of deck, Kirin Tor is like if you want to go the aggro route, Kirin Tor is good. I think because the tempo you get off the Zero Mana
Yeah.
secret
spells
is like
pretty
pretty nice when you already have a board full of small guys. One card I think I don't like is the Haunted Creeper. I think I'd rather that be like a Sorcerer's Apprentice. And I want to see like a Mana Worm in there, like maybe cut one polymorph for a Mana Worm.
But
And-
it's there for the death rattle as well. So how about instead of that, you have a loot hoarder?
I like Blue Horror.
Well, like
I
the
agree.
Sorcerer's Apprentice is just so strong.
Yeah, it's really good. especially that you have like these amount of spells. Like you have fireballs, you have frostbolts, obviously, arcane, intellects, counterspell, mirror entity.
Like, I'm just trying to picture how this deck wins and what it wins against. Like, against Handlock, obviously, this would be, like, pretty nice, because you have, like, all the cards that just crush Handlock. Mirror Entity, Leper Gnome, Fireball, Polymorph.
Seems like it could be good against Druid, too.
But against something like Warrior, you play Leper Gnome, they play Taskmaster. You play Haunted Creeper, they armor up, and then your creature is, like, nullified. Like, and then you just like don't have the later game threats really to beat Warrior.
You have Karen.
Yeah. Karen is like
Warrior
the one,
sometimes.
like the one saving grace. But like
maybe that's why
else...
it's in the deck.
All right, so I guess we're gonna wrap this up with the Q&A. So
I feel bad. I feel bad for the mage deck person because we didn't come to like a solid answer on like what should be done with this deck.
Well, we don't want to give him an answer if we're not sure, right? We give him ideas, and it's up to him to try it out. And
Yeah.
I guess like the final note I would say is just like try to focus your deck to like do like one thing, because if you make it try to do too many things, it ends up not being good at any of them. I guess that's all I'll say.
If I'd make a solid suggestion, it would just be like remove 2 Haunted Creepers, put in 2 Loot Hoarders, remove 1 Poly, put in a another Golem, and probably take out 1 Counterspell for like, I didn't even decide on that yet. I was thinking.
If you take out any secrets, you have to drop the Kirintor as well, probably.
Yeah.
That's why I don't really like that idea.
Yeah, maybe just leave that. I'm not sure about that. Like, I haven't played Kirintor a lot, just because I don't like how inconsistent it is.
Alright.
So, yeah.
So if you guys have any questions, you can drop them in the chat, and we'll try to answer them as best as possible.
Yeah, like next week we can finish going the deck list.
Yeah, we'll definitely go through more decks.
Yeah, we actually kind of ran out of time in this one.
That's Kisstafer's fault. Likes to keep talking about himself. You know, I'm the best. And it's all that knowledge. He wants to drop it. He has a lot of knowledge. There is a delay, so we're gonna be waiting a second. So should talk about something.
How long is the delay?
It's like I have no delay on, so it's gonna be like a couple seconds.
Okay.
Someone asked me a question earlier. Oh, like give me I guess what do you think about mages in general? I guess.
Kisstafer.
What do I think about mages in general?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of good mage decks that are just waiting to be made. There's a lot of sick cards in mage, like Mirror Entity, that people aren't abusing as much as they could. Stuff like Duplicate on certain minions can just like win the game in a lot of matchups, like on Sylvanas, Cairn. Even Sludge Belcher's a real pain in the ass.
Well, like that's assuming you don't die.
I think the toughest part about Mage is trying to make a deck that is good against multiple archetypes. Because you can make a Mage deck that beats like any one archetype.
Yeah. Like I like the route you were going with the early presence, just to board control, and then just late game. Like I think that is really good, and I think like I've seen a lot of good people running similar stuff, so I think that's going to be a big thing. Just like having early minions, snowball potential with Undertakers, and then having late game. And then your mid-range stuff like secrets and whatnot, water elemental. It's like the best 4-drop.
Yeah.
Okay. Simple asks, how much late game does a control paladin need on ladder? Is a Tyrion alone enough? What do you think, Kiss?
Oh, was that?
How much late game does a control paladin need on the ladder? Is Tyrion alone enough?
On the ladder, you probably don't need that much late game. Like usually you can just outplay people as long as you draw consistently. I'd say like the hyper late game control paladin deck should be saved for tournaments where you know you're going to be going up against like a pro who's like going to be playing really well and also is going to have a shitload of late game in their deck, so you actually need it to win. But on the ladder, you could get away with like just having a more consistent deck and making strong plays early on. So like even just having like just Tyrion and like lay on hands is fine on ladder, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think just Tyrion is like perfectly fine on ladder. Maybe add in the Ysera just because like even on ladder a lot of control decks are running Ysera and it's just very strong against other control decks.
Yeah, that's what I've been using.
Like, yeah, I like Ysera and Paladin.
What do you think about Cultizad though? Because like I had this internal debate where it was like Ysera or Cultizad.
I ran KT. I ran KT. Like, it's funny because like in the Prismata, like me and Freshka saw our Paladin deck list after, and the only thing that was different was he had Onyxia, and I had KT. And Onyxia was really interesting, but KT really was a bit too greedy, I think. Like, a bit too greedy. So if you're going to compare Ysera and KT together, like, it's definitely Ysera.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Okay. So, Pwn Cakery asks, do you find the focus practice against a particular deck more helpful than laddering when you're fine-tuning a deck?
Yeah, by a mile.
For sure.
I like that a lot.
100%.
Yeah.
Next question says, what do you look for in your ranked meta when choosing between Gromash and Mana Tide for draw in Shaman? Oh, Nomish, sorry. And Mana Tide for draw in Shaman.
Gnomish answers more threats. Mana Tide's better against control decks. So, personally, I really like Mana Tide. I think it's really, really good right now. But that being said, I think Gnomish is also good. So, I don't think there's anything wrong with having Mana Tide and a Gnomish.
I don't get it, yeah. I don't understand the question, because you can have a Mana Tide and Gnomish in the same deck.
Yeah, but
Like,
it's not typically what people run, right? They either run like Gnomish, Azure Drake, like what Sixo ran for a long time. Actually, he added in a Mana Tide later as well, right? I'm fairly certain.
I'm not sure, I think so. I think almost every Shaman deck has at least one Mana Tide.
Yeah, it actually disappeared for quite a while.
It's
So
a
I
card,
think
yeah,
that's what's
against Hunter, yeah.
effective.
It's a card that I've like never really liked that much because like it's just dead against anything that takes board control against you. But I can also respect its strength against control decks where if they just don't remove it, it wins the game on its own.
I'll give like a little secret that maybe people want to test out.
Like, I know...
I run Pagel now in Shaman, so you guys can test that out. I think it's really, really good. It's kind of like Mana Tide, just if you drop it earlier, it's better.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's like a 2-mana Mana Tide. Half
Pretty
the time,
much.
every time.
Half the time, every time, if you're good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Harder to
I wanna-
read as well.
I want to read one of these questions from the chat because I saw it. I'm looking for it again. Okay, kind of controversial, but what's your guys' take on the popularity of botting? Anyone have any interesting bot stories or anything?
Okay, like
Botting? Like what kind?
I think he means like on the...
On ladder? Well, I know
Yeah.
there was a recent ban on Asia, right? Asian servers. So I actually don't mind it just because like the win rate, your win rate against bots are like very, very good. So I found like laddering up when I was trying to hit legend in the beginning of the season, like running into a bot was like just nice.
Free yellow.
Yeah, but at the same time, like I have 3 golden classes, and I played this game, and I continue to play this game like a ton, like a ridiculous amount, and then there's people who just have every single class gold. That makes me sad.
For me,
So I don't know.
like for me, I really don't care about bots because like it's almost like a free win for me.
Mm-hmm.
But the real problem with bots, I think, is around like the like higher ranks where people are still new to the game and they don't have all the cards. Because what these decks do is they like.
Oh, that's true.
Because what the bots do is they like farm like the newbies and then concede. I'm pretty sure they like mass concede and then farm the newbies again to try to get
That's
gold
true.
portraits.
Well, like some bots, like they're trying to get legend. Like you see, like bots like rank 5 and stuff.
Yeah,
but
there's
they
some
also,
bots that are designed to get legend, and there's some bots that do the mass concede at like rank 20. So if you guys see one of your friends on busy at rank 20, and they just tell you, "Hey, I'm just I'm trying to get a gold thing," probably have a botter friend. Just don't want to admit it.
off Magic Amy.
Okay. Whoa. Call that. I'm not touching that. Twisted.
I'm actually a shaman bot.
I am too. People saw me get golden shaman on stream for like a week. I was playing shaman just to get it gold, and they're like, "I'm minimized right now, playing like something else."
Okay.
It's just my bot playing. So funny.
Well, like personally, I don't mind playing against like bots, but like I don't really care about like whether people will not have golden portraits because I don't even have one, so I feel like I shouldn't care.
You don't have one? Oh my
No,
god.
I'm a casual.
I don't have one.
Sorry.
I don't have one either. I don't play ladder.
Can you guys remove yourself from this call?
Alright.
Alright.
Take care, guys. So, Kisstafer,
Alright.
I'll direct this chat from now on.
Alright, more questions, guys.
How do you feel
We'll
from...
We'll do one more because we gotta wrap this up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll let you pick it, Hosty.
I'm picking what?
Your favorite question.
Question? Okay, oh my god.
So,
Let
the
me read
last
some.
question. The pressure's on.
Where do I
These
find...
guys have obviously never played against the Shaman Sea Giant bot with the Control Warrior. Nearly
Yeah,
unwinnable
Where are you
matchup.
guys finding these questions?
In the chat.
In the Twitch chat.
chat.
Okay,
It comes
okay.
with great practice,
Okay.
and you'll unlock the secrets to defeating the mighty
So you
Shaman
find
Sea
it
Giant.
as- Yeah, my Twitch chat like broke.
Okay.
Alright, is there... Okay, what are... No, I don't want that question. Let's see.
Damn.
Check down. Oh.
Um,
Pick a good one, Kisper.
when constructing decks for a tournament, are you looking to customize decks to beat certain matchups, or generally well-built decks that are equipped to handle multiple threats? Hosty, go.
Oh man. Okay. That depends if it's a band style format, first of all. That depends if it's an ESL style format where you could just randomly pick a deck. And that also depends like if it's a Zotac, because if it's a Zotac and you lose, you could like completely try to counter the other them. So there's a lot of different formats. So it's hard to answer that question. Like it depends on the format. For band drafts, like you usually have a strategy. You usually try to figure out what the majority of players are going to be playing and their lineups, and then you develop your own strategy and your own bands, and then your own decks to beat those picks. And that's like what most people do for band draft. Would you agree, Kisstafer?
Yeah,
Prismatic.
I think. Yeah, I agree.
And then for NESL, I think the strongest strategy is looking at what the top two highest played like meta decks are, and then playing the best decks against those two decks. So that's all your goal is to do. Like, because the majority of people who are playing NESL are gonna play meta decks. Because you don't know what the person's going to pick. Like, you have no idea. And they could counter at any point. So you just run the strongest counter to meta decks. And then with Zotac, you basically lead with the strongest deck, I found, and then you try to counter. If you lose, you just try to counter. That's all.
If it's a format where I get to I have to submit like 3 decks ahead of time, I usually will just go with like whatever 3 decks I think are the strongest,
Strongest, yeah.
plus whatever I think will beat what most people will be playing type of decks, stuff like that. But if there's a format where you can pick, like, you can just have like 9 decks made and just pick one for each individual game, that's when I'll have decks made like the BGH Black Knight Shaman that just like only beats Handlock ever. So it really, like Hosty said, depends on the format of what you're playing.
Yeah.
Alright, so what I wanted to say was, like, if I'm playing in like a normal tournament, that's like a weekly, and you're going against like unknowns, I like to open like with like 3 strong decks, like each that are independent on their own, and like if it's like a best of 3, then I'm like much less inclined to have like a counter deck that counters like a certain type of deck. But if it's like a best of 5 or best of 7, I'll usually have like something that'll have like a specific answer to something like Handlock or some other control deck.
That's fair.
So to
Just
wrap it up, what? Sorry.
Are you gonna say your thoughts?
What was the question? Sorry.
When constructing decks for a tournament, are looking to customize decks to beat certain matchups or generally well-built decks?
It really depends on the tournament format. Like ESL is anyone can choose any deck at any time, so you're just looking for consistent decks. But when when it's like 3 deck best out of 5 format, you're looking to have your first deck as a very consistent deck, and then your other 2 decks kind of as counter decks.
That's true. That's something we didn't talk about, like what deck to lean on. That's really a really important choice.
Like, an
Usually
important
the
thing
deck
to
you lean on
consider.
is consistent.
What was that?
I said, like, usually the deck you lean on is not like a counter or has weaknesses. It's just like an all-around consistent deck.
Yeah, so like if you had to pick a deck, like what would be like your game 1 deck right now? Like what's the deck that's balanced about like against everything that you would rely on?
And that's a lot of information. But no, right now it would be Druid. So like a mid-range Druid with Outgrowths and Yetis and Spectral Knights, personally.
I like Zoo. I think Zoo is a good opener.
Yeah, Druid's always a pretty solid opener.
Alright, so I guess we wrap it up.
Yeah. So thanks, Kiss and Hosty, for being on the show. We appreciate it. And it was a great talk we had. I'm going to pass it back to SpArk. He's just going to finish the end of the show.
Alright, so first, does anyone have any shout-outs that they want to give before you kill things off?
I'll let Kisstafer handle the
do.
shoutouts.
I got a
Couple.
grocery list of shoutouts, you know, the team and everything. Don't Kick My Robot. You can follow them at Don't Kick My Robot on Twitter. Follow me at DKMR_Kisstafer. Shout out to my sponsors, Waypoint Media, 2P, and Gunners. And shout out to Hosty, because he's so sexy.
Damn. What's up, Kiss? We'll talk after this Skype.
How about you, Hosty? Do you have any shout-outs?
Can I shout out my stream?
Sure.
No.
Oh no? Okay, that's it. Then I got nothing, guys. So
I'm just joking.
no, I'll link my stream in chat. I've been streaming now like consistently for the past couple weeks. Just got my sub button. Hype.
Great stream. I watch it too.
Thanks, bro. You do. Just it supports me. So yeah, that's about it. Shouting myself out.
Twisted.
So if you guys like the podcast, click that follow button. We're going to be doing it, I think, once a week.
Yeah.
And yeah, so follow us, and if you like the podcast, we'll hopefully see you next time.
Alright, see you guys.
Bye.
Later.
See you, everyone.